Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. Yesterday or on Thursday, you hopefully took a look at the video about the Bohr model of representing an atom. And today we're going to get to practice that a little bit. So let's just take a look. I'm going to review what we did or what you saw yesterday. And that was this. And the way I explained it in class was that atoms are so small that we can't see them with the naked eye. So it's kind of hard to really work with them when you can't see them. So what we do is this. We make models of them. And in class today, we actually made models with some chocolate chips and Rice Krispies to kind of represent protons, neutrons, and electrons. And we made these what we call Bohr models. So we're going to practice that today. So let me show you the assignment. What we're going to do is go ahead and kind of recreate or make the first 18 elements of the periodic table and represent them with the Bohr model. So I'll do a few, and then I will kind of leave it up to you to do the rest by yourself. So let's start out with number 1, which is hydrogen. And if I look at my periodic table here, number 1 is in the top left corner, right here. So we're going to go ahead and complete that one. So let's take a look at how we do that. Again, if you did the video yesterday, you'll have some idea about this. Remember, there are 3 parts to an element: protons, neutrons, and electrons. So we're going to figure out how we can find each one of those numbers and then how we can show it on the Bohr model. So if you've got your periodic table, I would take that out right now. Otherwise, this is a good website, has a good periodic table. And as you can see, we can kind of see hydrogen is number 1 in the top left corner here. One thing I'll say also is I've cut out this middle part of the table because we don't deal with that in middle school. That's kind of a high school thing. It just kind of breaks a lot of rules and gets a bit confusing. So what we do is we stick to this left side and then we skip over to the right side here. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at hydrogen. Okay. Hydrogen has an atomic number of 1 and an atomic mass of about 1. Whenever you see a number that has some decimals, we just round it. So it's about 1. So what I'm going to do, and I would encourage you to, if you have a scrap piece of paper, to do this as well, is to go ahead and write 1 at the top, and then the chemical symbol, which is H, and then the atomic mass, which is 1. Okay, just quick review. The atomic number tells us how many protons we have. The atomic mass, tells us how many protons plus neutrons. Okay, so this is where we've got to do a bit of math. Oops. What we've got to do is firstly figure out how many protons we have, which again is just this number at the top. It's just 1. So if we go back to our assignment, I'm going to say that we have 1 proton, and I want to show that on my Bohr model. I've pre-filled these all for you, and we know that protons and neutrons go in the middle. So all I've got to do is type P1 to show that it has 1 proton. Now, let's go back and take a look and see how we figure out the neutrons. Okay, again, this is kind of where we have to do the math. If I have an atomic mass of 1, and that's my number of protons plus neutrons, I'm going to write that over here. 1. But I've got 1 proton already. Then I've got to subtract that 1 away from my atomic mass, and I get 0. So that tells me how many neutrons I have. Again, because there's 1 right here, it tells me protons plus neutrons, and if I have 1 proton, then that means I must have 0 neutrons. Come back here and type that in. Okay, remember there are 3 parts to our atom: protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons and neutrons go in the middle, that's why we put them here. And the last thing we do is place our electrons. So what you're going to do is just grab and drop these. And you're going to put one on the Bohr model. These are called either rings or shells, or sometimes they're called orbitals. But either way, you're going to place it on this kind of ring, the outer ring, and that's it. So that's kind of how we make a Bohr model. Let's do a couple more together. I'm going to move over here to number 2. And this is where you look at your periodic table. I'm going to move myself out of the way. There we go. Number 2 is helium. Has an atomic number of 2 and an atomic mass of 4. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm actually going to start a new one here. Okay. So I'm just going to copy the box and we'll put our helium in here. Okay. First thing we find is protons. And that just equals this top number. So that equals 2. So let's go ahead and put that right in to our assignments. Protons is 2. And neutrons, we have to take this number and do a bit of math. To find neutrons, we take 4 and we subtract the number of protons, which was 2. And that should give us 2. So let's go ahead and put that into our table here. Neutrons is 2. Now for every proton, remember that's positively charged, it's going to attract a negatively charged neutron, or sorry, negatively charged electron. So we're going to go ahead and put those on. 1, 2, and done. And that's it. Now here's where it gets a little bit complicated. If we move on to number 3, we'll do that one. So that's lithium, has an atomic number of 3 and an atomic mass of 6.94. When you see that, any decimal, you're going to round it. And I'm going to say that's close to 7. So we'll go ahead and just call that 7. So lithium, and it's got an atomic mass of 7. So first thing we find, protons. Protons is 3. So let's go ahead and put that into our assignments. Protons 3. Neutrons. Again, we take this number and we subtract the top number, and 7 minus 3 equals 4. So neutrons is 4. Okay, and here's the tricky part. I have 3 protons, so I should have 3 electrons. If you go back here though, remember the first shell can only hold 2 electrons. After that, we have to start putting them on the second shell. So let's do this. We put 1, 2 on the first shell, and then the third one goes on the outer shell. All right, so what I'm going to have you do is keep working on this. Remember, use a periodic table, use a scratch piece of paper to try and figure it out, and then also look back at the notes that we did on Thursday as far as how to place them. So if I've got like 9 electrons, I'm going to place them 1, 2 on the inner shell, and I'm going to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's going to be how I kind of put the electrons on. Your mission today is to go ahead and fill in, it says 20 here, but let's just stop at 18. So we'll do 18 elements, and then answer the question on the second slide and submit when you are done. All right, if you have any questions, please message me on Schoology. Otherwise, good luck and see you soon.